Members, we now return to the valedictory speeches and I give the call to the Honourable Sophia Moermond.
Thank you, President, and thank you all for having the patience for my guests to finally arrive and be seated. They had been given very clear instructions, by the way, just so you know. Anyway, what a ride this has been. Every time I walk into this place, I am in awe. It is such a beautiful building and it has such meaning, and it is an absolute honour and privilege to be able to have called this my workplace. It was surreal on my first day here, and it's still quite surreal now. I didn't ever expect to be a politician, and I've used the following analogy quite a few times. I would have thought my chances of ever being an elected member of Parliament was similar to me being on the first terraforming mission to Mars. But having had this happen in my life, I realised that the world is filled with undiscovered opportunities, and I'm looking forward to the next adventure, which I am not quite sure what that is going to be as yet. When I first started here, and I don't doubt that this was observed, I was very much overwhelmed. There are so many aspects to this role that you can't prepare for, and things I had never encountered before, like running an office and employing people. This place is nothing like I had experienced before. Rules written and unwritten were complicated due to the unfamiliar environment. I'm not one for games either. I prefer an open, direct approach. Unfortunately, I was exposed to many games here. It's such a shame. It takes away from the role that we have here. And I suspect that if egos could be left at the door, an atmosphere of greater cooperation could be achieved, and time spent on plotting could be used on actually improving the lives of West Australians. My time in here certainly has had its challenges. I had to deal with blackmail, threats of blackmail. I had to engage lawyers for that. I had to get an FVRO as well, and then a lawyer for a defamation case against a very angry man in Tasmania. I ended up being on first-name basis with the Dignitary Protection Unit. I came across meth addicts, alcoholics, possible spies in my office, theft, and nearly being groped during a division in this chamber. There were also rape and death threats. I don't know if this is normal, but if it is, it certainly shouldn't be. So one of my main challenges in here has been my hearing. So I've spent over $18,000 being able to hear in this place. It's a lot of money. Insurance doesn't cover it. And I'm either too old or too young, it appears, for government assistance. And it's not just the hearing itself, by the way, the technology that goes with that. So here you have an iPad, a phone, digital hearing aid, a loop, and sometimes they inexplicably switch between each other. This happens especially when I've done something wrong and the President is trying to correct me. By the way, President, you speak very softly when one is in trouble, which just added to my anxiety of not being able to hear. Anyway, we now do have the hearing situation sorted out in here, and I hope that if another Member of Parliament with hearing issues is elected, that it'll be a much easier ride for them. So in my time here, I never set out to be controversial, so it was a surprise to be suspended. All the more so because a man accused of sex crimes against a child was allowed to stay on that same day. I also know that I wasn't the target of that decision, but it doesn't make it okay. Bodily autonomy should be paramount in a democracy, and I stand by my decision. The negative effects of the COVID vaccines are ongoing and many are suffering. Almost everyone I speak to is able to share a story with me about how they've been affected or how a loved one has been affected and how they are experiencing ongoing health issues. With the data coming out, this trend will continue and is greatly concerning. Data relating to childhood vaccinations is also concerning, and I predict that further research will continue to come out and show the long-term dysregulation of the immune system and ongoing chronic inflammation as a direct result of the current vaccination schedule. I really hope that we find a way to make sure that we can diagnose those people who might be prone to an adverse event before they are vaccinated to make sure that everyone is safe. Bodily autonomy is a pillar of a free and democratic society. And whilst one side of the chamber recognises this in relation to abortions, and the other side recognises this in relation to mandated medical treatments, both are examples of hypocrisy. You can't have it both ways. Either you have bodily autonomy or you don't. As part of that, I should have the choice to use cannabis if I so desire, or if it's medically indicated. Having said that, I am concerned about the medical cannabis industry. There appears to be greedy doctors making it very easy to get a script. As a result, we now have a black market in medicinal cannabis. Now, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I believe that when medicinal cannabis became legal, it would have been beneficial to decriminalise the use of recreational cannabis at the same time. This, together with impairment testing to ensure road and work safety, would have placated recreational users and prevented misuse of the medical cannabis model. Representing the recreational users has been a wonderful experience, and I've made many friends in that community, something I'm very grateful for. I've been to Nimbin for the Mardi Gras 4 times now, and one of the funniest experiences was when I was asked to do a radio interview for the local station. It was an interview with 2 elderly gentlemen. Now, we went on a short coffee break, and I was naive to think that this was about coffee. No, I didn't drink the coffee that was on offer, but I can say without doubt that this was the funniest interview with the most giggles I have ever had. The cannabis industry also ignited my passion for hemp. And to the Minister for Agriculture, please consider greater support for the hemp industry. I have waxed lyrically about hemp simply because the science shows that it has incredible potential to help in several pertinent areas beneficial to WA. The hemp industry in the US in 2023 was estimated to be at $1.63 billion. Industrial hemp is used in over 25,000 products. It is a profitable, diverse and sustainable industry. Hemp can be used to repatriate mine sites, including stabilising the asbestos fibres in Wittenoom, build fireproof housing, clothing, bedding, food and medicine. So, not just did I represent a somewhat controversially named plant or party, then also I chose to not be vaccinated. And I then chose also to speak out for the human rights of women and children. Bizarrely enough, speaking up for women and children is considered hate speech by some. In the famous words of the late Magdalene Burns, it is not hate speech to speak the truth. Being in here as part of a minor party initially and then on an independent as part of an almost redundant crossbench leaves one with little power. Having said that, as I gained insight and experience, I was able to advocate for various causes, create awareness and normalise the discussion around especially cannabis, but also hemp. With the help of staff and volunteers, I was able to run several events. We had 2 hemp and cannabis days in Fremantle, which were a great success, a hemp industry gala dinner, at which the Honourable Lorna Harper spoke, a hemp market and open day, and a cannabis industry meet-up here at Parliament House. I provided $20,000 for furthering hemp research here in WA, conducted by Dr. Bronwyn Blake. Her research will hopefully bring cannabis or separate hemp and cannabis once again and reclassify hemp as generally regarded as safe, which it is. I was also able to support the startup of several companies here in Western Australia, including Canaponics and the Hemp Brothers, by funding or helping with their fundraising. I'm also supporting a company in Tasmania, which is women-led, that grows hemp and builds hemp houses. So whilst it might happen that some of those shares will eventually make me wealthy, I know that's unlikely, and that was not my motivation. These businesses deserve the support, and I felt not enough was provided by the government here or federally to do so. I strongly believe that WA needs a thriving hemp and cannabis industry and that it will benefit the people here. But my most important contribution was through my committee work on the Environment and Petitions Committee. Together with my honourable colleagues, the Honourable Peter Foster, Jorn Sibma, Shelley Payne and Stephen Pratt, MLA, we worked on some really interesting topics. Now, I still do believe that the Honourable Jorn Sibma was there basically to babysit all of us newbies. We did a deep dive into prescribed burning, something that I'd always been against. But speaking to the many experts that made contributions and going on a tour to see the work done by DFES made me change my mind. It is necessary, though methods may still need refining. The other inquiry that we undertook was into forced adoptions. That was intense, incredibly emotional, and an incredible privilege given to us by those mothers and children willing to trust us and trust us with their experiences. We didn't take that lightly. And many of those who gave testimony, we understood that they were sharing the most intimate and traumatising experiences with a group of strangers. We worked really hard to make sure that they felt safe and comfortable and not intimidated by their environment or us politicians in there. I think we handled it with great sensitivity and respect. Now, all of my recommendations were taken on board, even though I had to change the wording significantly for my recommendation to make MDMA therapy available to those people. It is included under the terms of novel therapies. It is with gratitude that I'm seeing the recommendations implemented, including the renaming of the community centre in Albany to the Bessie Flower Community Centre. That is already a big step in stopping the re-traumatisation of those women who live down there. Now, when looking at committee work, us MPs there, we were the interface between the government and the people, but most of the work was done by the staff on the committees. So thank you to Carmen and Stephen in particular for handling everything so well, organising our trips everywhere, making sure that we were adequately equipped to deal with very traumatised people as well. Now, this role has also provided me with the most amazing experiences. I've been to Westminster and observed a session of the UK Parliament there. I also met some amazing female MPs there from the Commonwealth and learned much about trade agreements. I was also invited to Germany to participate in the World Health Organization Global Health Summit last year in regards to drug reform. We were invited into the Bundestag and observed German Parliament in action as well. Now, how cool is that? Both of these experiences in Europe showed how safe we are here. We don't have to wait for one bulletproof door to close before we can go through the second bulletproof door, nor do our police here carry very large automatic weapons. We are so blessed to have such a safe environment to work for. There's no bulletproof glass here above separating us from our constituents. That is really something that we need to appreciate here. It was scary seeing all those big guns, seeing full-on military in those buildings, wearing, bulletproof vests and everything. This is gentle and nice. Then also as part of my experiences is one event that I never ever thought I would witness. And I've retroactively listed this under my bucket list items. In the most unexpected of circumstances, I ended up at CPAC last year, which is a conservative conference. One thing I witnessed there still makes me giggle. I saw Barnaby Joyce, a sober Barnaby Joyce, run an auction for a large portrait of Donald Trump. This was absolutely the most unexpected situation ever. And go Barnaby for being sober, by the way. The portrait was really, really large, and this was before Trump was elected, and it went for $62,000. Quite amazing. Anyway, my time in here also made me realise that I needed much more knowledge. And because of the amount of driving involved, I discovered Audible. Now, there's some interesting books out there that we were recommended to read. Blind Spots is a good one, by the way, showing how our brains can work in such a way that we conveniently block out negative things, especially if there's reward associated for not recognising those negative things. In regards to that too, governance works best when everybody cooperates. So one of the books that I listened to was from a psychiatrist in the US who spoke about how it used to be the case that in Washington all of the different people would come, all of the different MPs would come and go and be part of the local community there. And cross-party friendships were a very strong basis of cooperation between the different sides. I think that the change that we had in this chamber by not having afternoon tea on a daily basis out there inhibits that ability to connect to each other. I would love for that to be reinstated. Other things that I learned whilst listening to audiobooks was in regards to the environment, mini-grids, wind turbines, and other subjects that we were discussing in here. Now, with wind turbines, there's such a thing as infrasound, and the research on that is out there. It is harder to find, and there are some real concerns about the effect that has on the people that live nearby. There's no research showing the effect on plant cell membranes as yet, but I would like to see that too. There are smaller versions available of wind turbines that do not produce any infrasound, and I think that is something that really needs to be researched. I don't believe that destroying ecosystems to save the planet makes sense. So we need to make sure that in moving forward and looking after our planet, that the systems that we adopt do not cause any further damage. We have to find useful solutions that honour the planet, don't harm the people, and that also provides us with the electricity that we very much rely on. One of the things, by the way, that I always assumed about politicians is that we love the sound of our own voice. I can assure you that after having seen many video clips where I'm speaking, that that's absolutely not the case. The cringe factor is huge. Not for that reason, but part of it possibly, I have kept my contributions here generally quite short. The reason for that is, one, I don't want to waste anyone's time and I want to be succinct in what I say, and two, as a crossbench member, one couldn't really influence outcomes over the last 4 years here anyway. we were almost superfluous at times, and I am pleased that the 42nd Parliament will be slightly more balanced, and I hope this will be of benefit to the people of Western Australia. Now, I would have liked another go, obviously, because I have learned so much over the last 4 years, and I'm sure that my second time around would have been much stronger. Having said that, I was not invested in the outcome as such, but I did work very hard to try and get here. My thanks to the Honourable Louise Kingston, Adrian, who ran on the ticket as well, and Tony too, and the Honourable Aussie Trump. It was a wild journey getting that ticket together, just so you know. Very interesting experience, but we did get it together and we did get a box above the line, which was our aim. Also, with the very short running time that we had, the amount of signatures that we required, it was a lot of hard work, but we did okay. So, I don't know if I'd ever do it again, though. This was probably enough excitement for a while. I would like to thank all the staff here in the chamber for their guidance, patience and understanding. I would also like to thank the catering staff who took such care with my very awkward diet. I would also like to thank all of you here as having been part of my journey. You have all contributed in some way to my learning, my growth and my life experience. May you all work in such a way that WA remains one of the best places on the planet to live. And with gratitude, I say my goodbye to you all.
You're coming around a long way. Well done from the southwest, my friend.
You have a career as Canadian, you?
Just to remind members, the microphones and live streaming still continue.
I'm sure we'll meet.
Sorry, I may have said that.
Too softly.
Very devious character. Get back down to this. Unparliamentary behaviour. No, it's just waiting for your body. Yeah. Almost.